process mapping and project management is a skill every public servant should have,
Mm,
even if
mm,
it's basic, because
mhm,
I've seen through process mapping, tough policies get solved right on the board, breaking it down from stages and the
mhm.
workflow and all of that. So, can you explain in details
Yeah.
the need, how you cultivated it, and what it can do, the
Mm,
solution oriented method of process mapping?
yeah. Yeah, I guess for me, how I got to where I am with that kind of thought process, and I think about it in largely everything we do, is practice.
Hmm.
No one gets good at anything right out of the box, and
Yeah.
so it's trial and error. And some of my, well, even today, and I mean, I know you're used to me saying this, is like sometimes I draw really crappy pictures, and eventually we get something that actually makes sense. And sometimes bad ideas or wrong ideas come out, but somebody else can layer on top of those and say like, oh, actually it's like this. And so for me, it's a two-piece thing. It's like, okay, well, let's start getting ideas out and visualize that work. And how you visualize that work is, again, dependent on the problem you're trying to solve. So to your point around complexity, like you can get right down to, like a data flow of information, like cylinders, containers, like the full
Total.
technological specific maps for sure. And sometimes you just need a whiteboard
Hmm.
where you're just drawn on a whiteboard and somebody erases what you wrote, and everybody's fueling into it, right? And so, yeah, like I think, for me, it's kind of like a mindset thing where it's
Hmm.
just like, well, what are, like, it's back to visualizing the work so that we can align on where we need to go forward, and then people can then choose for their skill sets those parts. So a lot of my background resides in like agile project delivery and software delivery. So I take a lot of those components and I, for lack of a better word, download them into kind of how I do all the things that I do. And that's where a lot of the process mapping and
Mapping comes
visualization
from, yeah.
comes from. But I think it's also vitally important that when you're doing that, that it's not just a Chris Warner sitting in an office room or a meeting room drawing on a board and being like, I solved it. Like, in the movies, the guy or girl runs out and they're waving a piece of paper.
Yeah,
It's like, I
what?
got it.
Yeah.
I solved the thing. It's like, that's not how that works. Like everybody has a role to play in complex problems.
Teamwork.
Exactly. And so, yeah, like I think, to the component of the question about leading individuals and groups and teams, I think part of that is a leader's responsibility is to have, it's our job to engage the people that we've hired because we've hired them for reasons that they have skills or knowledge or abilities. And if you're not doing that, what are you